I've got some other drawing tools here, you'll recognise these. I've got a Common or Garden Biro pen, I've got a Fineliner, and I've also got one of these a 0.4, different type of pen, obviously different thicknesses, which I'm going to show you. I'm going to start with this Biro pen and continuing what we were looking at, taking your line for a walk can be done again with a Biro pen. You can see I'm replicating what I did with my 2B pencil here, going over some of the thicker areas quite easily. You can obviously do your cross hatching. The beauty about using a Biro is it's very instant. You can't rub it out, so anything you're drawing, it's permanent. It's very fast, it's very free flowing. Again, I'm doing my mark making using my Biro. I like using black. I mean, you can use blue, but I much prefer black. You can see here I'm revisiting the natural form that I started with, which was the leaf. So that's with your Biro. You can create tones quite easily, pressing hard, pressing light, working over and over the same area and pressing harder, take the pressure off. It's very, very achievable with a Biro, a very simple tool to draw. Very nice, and you get these lovely lines. It's a ballpoint pen, so you're working on a tiny little ball where the ink's flowing through, so hence you get these lovely flowing lines. And I'm actually drawing on cartridge paper. If you can, rather than drawing on photocopy paper, treat yourself to a nice cartridge pad of paper. Makes such a difference. So that's drawing with a Biro. So there's that series of lines, revisiting what I did. So that's just using a black Biro pen. I'm now going to use the Fineliners. Now, what you'll have to check if you're going to purchase a Fineliner is whether they're water soluble or not. A Sharpie is permanent ink. Try and get something that's water soluble. So again, you can see here the line I'm describing. A lemon. Got my lemon here. I'm going to put some texture on it, on the pitted skin. I'm softening this edge. When you do an outline to describe the shape you're drawing, blend in the outline. Try not to leave it like that. Blend it in with some tone. Whatever you're drawing, there will be light and there'll be shade, as I mentioned before, depending where the light source is. to try and replicate, try and really look, and wherever possible, try and draw from life. Obviously, you're not always able to do that, but rather than copying a picture of a lemon on your mobile phone, see if you've got some fruit, a lemon in this case, in your fruit bowl, and hold it in your hand, and the taste, that very lovely, zesty, fresh taste. Think about that as you're drawing. Look at where the light is, look at the texture of the skin. So I've probably covered not quite 50% with the ink. You can see I've left quite a lot of the white paper there. So this is drawing with a Fineliner, the lemon I've got in my hand. And then you can, I'm going to put the lemon to one side. You can leave it like that, but what is really nice is if you get some water and get a very small brush and have yourself a little bit of, I've got toilet paper here, but you could use paper towel from the kitchen, just in case too much water is on your brush. So remember, I've soaked the brush in water, it will have drips on it, so just have your paper there just to take the excess off. So as soon as the water hits the ink, you can see it starts to water down the ink, so that now in a sense you're painting with water. And it's very easy if you put too much water on, so keep dabbing the excess off, to drag grey paint all over the place. Try not to do that. Try and have your brush so it's dry. Otherwise you end up just with a great big grey drawing. So wash, rinse your brush out regularly. Make sure there's not too much water on there. So as you can see, the edges I'm blending in. So I'm almost replicating the tone I put in with the mark making, and the water is dissolving that black ink. Keep rinsing your brush out. What you don't want to, you want to create a form that's looking much more 3D, and the inky water will help. Try leaving some areas white. Concentrate on the sides, blending in, blend that in. And remember what I said before, it's a 3-dimensional form. So don't just drag the water backwards and forwards, go with it. You notice I'm moving my brush around, I'm regularly rinsing, dabbing it on the paper, and the little marks that I've made with the Fineliner are slightly blurring now because of the water. But you can see it's gone from a linear drawing into a drawing that's a lot more 3D. Now if you want to obviously have it so it's got weight, you'll need to, it should be enough actually just to have the water coming from the bottom. You don't have to add more lines underneath. You can if you want a more dramatic effect. You can see there that little bit of grey water is giving a sense that that lemon is now got some weight. And the thing with doing a little drawing like this is when to stop adding the water, because as I said, it's very easy just to put water all over and it just becomes grey. Try and keep all the tonal range in there, and because of the nature of this particular pen, you can see, but it's gone quite a pinky sort of colour. I have another pen here. It's a Fineliner. It's a much thinner pen, so you can see here, if I draw my line, get a much finer so you can have a look when you go to the shops or the art shops. have a look at the different nib sizes. So this would be a much finer response to the one above. So that's my linear drawing. So if I add my water now, it's a much finer pen, so you're going to get a much finer, it won't be as inky as the one I've done above, but you can still use it in a very, very delicate way like this. I'm choosing to do natural forms, but there's no reason why you can't do portraits. Any object you fancy doing, really. You can see, so there's two examples using two different weights of Fineliner, and again you can do the cross hatching and build up the tones quite easily. But it's a really, really lovely way of working with some very simple things that you've probably got in the house. So, you know, have a go.